friends, welcome back to my channel. It's Tori. This will be my final book haul of 2024. And you guys, I have to say, I'm quite proud of myself because when we started 2024, I did a Read Your Shelves challenge because I was feeling so much anxiety about how many books were on my shelves, how many books I hadn't read yet, and more books were coming in every day as I was building my library. And I don't regret building my library. That's something that is incredibly important to me. I love having a home library and having all these books, not just for myself, but also for my family. As my kids start getting older, I love curating a collection of books that is hopefully going to mean a lot to my entire family. However, it gets kind of stressful when you realize that you probably won't have time in your life to read all the books that you want to read. I've probably only done half the book hauls this year that I did in 2023, which feels amazing, honestly, and I can tell that the stress level that I was feeling from last year has diminished a lot. But I have some very exciting books to share with you guys today, and I've been curating a little stack of all of the books I've hauled this last couple of months very slowly until I felt like I had enough for one final book haul here in December, so let's get into it. So let's start with the books that I was sent this last couple of months. This is A Tide of Black Steel by Anthony Ryan. It is his newest release. He's an author that I really enjoyed reading for the first time this year and have been slowly collecting other books of his. This book was a gift from one of my wonderful patrons, Craig. Craig, thank you so much for sending this gift. I am so excited to read this book. I love Anthony Ryan's writing and I can't wait to try more of it. So huge thanks to Craig for sending that to me. The next one was actually a gift from the author herself, which was super exciting. And this is a book that has been on my TBR for ages. Sordanian, The Triumvirate Revelations, Book 1. This is an indie fantasy book by L.L. Stevens. And I cannot wait to read this. I don't know a ton about the book. I do try to go into books as blind as I possibly can. But this book is giving me really big, epic, like world-shattering storyline vibes, and I have heard nothing but amazing things about this book from my friends who have already read it. I love that at the top of this book, the tagline is "Secrets Sheathe Swords." That just sounds awesome. I cannot wait to get into this book. Next up, I got a gift from my friend Casey from the channel Bookishly Bookish, and that is a childhood favorite of hers, Hawk Song. This is a book that she's been wanting me to read for quite a while, and she sent me a copy of it, so you can look forward to seeing this potentially in an upcoming reading vlog. This is a young adult, I think, paranormal shapeshifter fantasy, which I have not read a lot of, admittedly, and so I'm really excited to try something a little bit different and see how I feel about it. She absolutely loves this book and told me that it's gonna check a lot of boxes in terms of the kind of character archetypes I like, so I'm really looking forward to reading this. Thank you so much, Casey, for sending me this. And the last book I was sent in this last month was an early Christmas gift from my good friend Andrew from Andrew's Wizardly Reads. This is The City of Marble and Blood by Howard Andrew Jones. This book is book 2 in the Hanavar Chronicles of Hanavar, I was close, which I did read this year on Andrew's suggestion and really enjoyed it. I think it's an incredible book, and this was book 2, which I've had on my wish list for a while, so huge thank you to Andrew for making sure that it ended up on my shelf. All right, now let's get into the books that I purchased this month. I did end up grabbing a couple of Terry Pratchett novels. This is The Color of Magic, which is actually the first book in the entire Discworld universe in terms of publication order. It's also book 1 of the Rincewind series. A lot of people are very mixed on this book. I don't know how I'm gonna feel about it. I'm trying not to listen to anybody else's opinions before I try it for myself, but I am very excited to eventually get to this once I've finished a couple of the other series in Discworld, and also Moving Pictures, which is the first book in his Industrial Revolutions series. Don't quote me on that, pretty sure. So I wanted to get a couple of book 1s and also continue to add to my collection of these larger mass market paperbacks because this is my favorite version of these books to have on my shelves, and so I want to make sure I get copies of them because I've heard from a reliable source that they may be going out of print because all of the new covers have been coming out, and so I want to make sure that I am stocked before that happens. Next up, I went to a little library sale over at our local small town library, and I have the Deed of Paxenarian by Elizabeth Moon, which is something that's on my list for 2025 of books I'd really like to get to. And I found a sci-fi novel by Elizabeth Moon called Hunting Party, and I'm pretty sure this is the first book in a series, but in some of these older books it's a little hard to tell because they don't always list the current books in the book itself, so this doesn't have like a series title on it anywhere, but I'm 90% sure that there are other books after this. But it's a lady in space, so say no more. I'm wanting to branch out into some more sci-fi, and also Elizabeth Moon is an author I've heard a lot of good things about and would really like to try, so I figured I'd pick it up. I mean, for 50 cents, really, I can't say no. Next up is the book Seabiscuit, An American Legend by Laura Hillenbrand. So horse racing is something that I was obsessed with as a kid, and especially the legendary racehorses in American history like Seabiscuit. I bought this because I love a good memoir slash biography, and I know that Laura Hillenbrand is a very good writer. I read Unbroken by her a couple years ago, and so I figured this would be a really good one to add to my collection of biographies. Now, I did end up on Book Outlet recently because they were having a sale, and I found a very cheap copy of The Silver Blood Promise by James Logan. This was a 2024 release that has been making its rounds around BookTube, and I've heard kind of rumblings that it might be in the vein of Lies of Locke Lamora. Not that they're the same book by any means, but that if you are a fan of Lies of Locke Lamora, that this might be a good one to check out in terms of the flavor of the story. I think it's a heist. Full of endearing characters, enough grit to make you flinch, chock full of action adventure, and good old-fashioned skullduggery. I'm here for that. So I have not read this yet, but I did want to get a copy of it, and I figured with the sale that was going on, I might as well grab a copy to read. In that same sale, I have been slowly collecting Jeff Shara's historical fiction novels in hardcover. I have quite a few of them up here on my shelf of non-fantasy books. And I picked up two more, one of which was No Less Than Victory, a novel of World War II, which is one of the eras that I was a little bit more hesitant collecting because World War II isn't as much of a draw for me as like the Civil War, the Korean War, and other eras of that nature. But I do still want to read these because I do think that Jeff Shara is an amazing writer, and I'm looking forward to hopefully at some point working my way through his entire canon of work. The other Jeff Shara book I picked up was The Old Lion, a novel of Theodore Roosevelt. I know probably as much as anybody else about Teddy Roosevelt, but I would love to read a book actually about him. And of course, if anyone is going to make it interesting, it's going to be Jeff Shara. So I'm looking forward to adding this one to my Jeff Shara collection as well. Next up is another memoir slash autobiography, and that is In Order to Live, A Korean Girl's Journey to Freedom by Yeonmi Park. I have another book of Yeonmi Park's that she wrote after this, that is her search for freedom once she came to America. But this book, I think, details her defecting from North Korea, escaping from North Korea, and all the horrors that she suffered there, and kind of her transition out of North Korea. She's an incredibly strong woman. I've heard several interviews of hers, and I'm looking forward to reading her memoir because this, again, is an area of interest for me. I've read quite a few memoirs from North Korean defectors, and I've always found them incredibly profound and really fascinating to read, and honestly very important to read. So I'm looking forward to adding Yeonmi Park's book to my have-reads. Next up is a KJ Parker book. Now, I haven't actually read any KJ Parker yet, but he is such a beloved author, especially within the circles surrounding the Library of Alexandria's channel. And I'm really excited to try these. And a couple of my friends that have read KJ Parker already suggested that I start with The Company because apparently it's a very gritty, boots on the ground, army, motley crew kind of vibe, which is definitely something that sounds like it could be in my wheelhouse. So I'm looking forward to this, especially since I just finished Lord of the Flies. That was actually the book that I read that was the reason my friend recommended, I believe, this one specifically. And so I'm looking forward to that. And I also love that it's a standalone. So for those of you who are like, who the heck is KJ Parker? Do I want to read him? Do I want to try something? I know this is a standalone novel. So if you're looking for a taste test, this might be a good option for you if the synopsis sounds like something that's interesting. All right, also from Book Outlet, I was very excited to see that they had some Ian C. Eslamont. For those of you that are not familiar with this author, he is a co-creator of the Malazan universe. Stephen Erickson wrote, of course, the Malazan Book of the Fallen, and Ian C. Eslamont has written a ton of novels within the Malazan universe, and I have I say quite a few, I've got like 3 or 4, but I was able to pretty much double my Ian C. Eslamont collection for a really decent price off of Book Outlet, and I ended up with Stonewielder, Orb Scepter Throne, and Forge of the High Mage, and they're all in these delightfully floppy, wonderful trade paperbacks that I love so much. This is my preferred reading method right here. Give me a good floppy trade paperback and I am absolutely thrilled. Next up is How We Disappeared by Jing Lee. This is a heartbreaking but hopeful story about memory, trauma, and ultimately love. So during World War II, there's a very hotly contested part of history that surrounds the comfort women that were taken from their homes and brought back to Japan or taken into basically brothels for the soldiers in that area. And this is an era of history that I've seen several interviews about this, and it just really piqued my interest and I wanted to learn more about it. And this one, based on the synopsis, just sounded like it was going to be a really heavy but really profound read in that area. It's weird to say you're looking forward to reading books like this. I never know really how to say that. I am, but I do think that this is going to be a very sobering read, but I also think it's an important part of history to listen to, so I'm looking forward to adding that to my have read list. Next up, I finally finished my Daniel Abraham Dagger and Coin series. I have all 4 of the other books, but The Spider's War, which is the 5th and final book in the series, is the only one that I haven't had on my shelves. So I was finally able to grab a copy of it, so I do have all 5 books in the series now. And after the experience I had with Long Price Quartet, I cannot wait to read this book. Or this whole series, to be honest. Like, I absolutely love Daniel Abraham's writing, and I've heard from some people that they actually liked Dagger and Coin even better than Long Price Quartet, which kind of blows my mind a little bit. But I'm super excited to add this to my shelf and finally own the entire series. Back in September, we went to a fall festival at my alma mater, and there was a craft and book fair there, and there was a table with a young woman at it who is a young fantasy author, either in college or just out of college. I can't remember which, but she was selling a book called Voices of the Future, Stories of Healing and Home, Volume 3 from the Author Conservatory, which is apparently an organization that is fostering young fantasy authors, which I absolutely love, having been a young fantasy author in my lifetime. I love the idea of this so much. And I love that they're putting out these anthologies where these young authors can put out a little taste test of their work and get a little bit of experience as they're going into their writing career, which is super cool. So I bought this little anthology, and I think there's like 10 or 11 stories in here. So I'm really excited to make my way through these and get a taste test for each of these young authors and see what the future of fantasy looks like, because that sounds really awesome. Next up, I picked up a new manga, you guys, which I've had on my TBR for quite a while, but I've never actually pulled the trigger and bought the book. And that is Island in a Puddle by Kei Sanbei. This is a story of a young man and his little sister, and he's basically her primary caretaker because their mother is never around. And I think there's some magical realism tied into this. I have not read much in the way of synopsis of the whole series, but based on volume 1 synopsis, I just thought this sounded really sweet and heart-rending, and I love stories like that. So, and I have been looking for a kind of quicker, easier manga read to pick up for 2025, so I thought that I would try volume 1 and just see how I liked it. But look at this artwork, you guys. How adorable is this? Absolutely love that. So excited to try another new manga. Also, my last book outlet pickup was this one right here, and this is Clear by Karis Davies. So there was an era of history called the Scottish Clearances where poor people were driven essentially off their land by richer landowners. And the main character of this story is an impoverished minister who basically takes a job to earn some money, and he's sent out into the middle of nowhere to this tiny island to evict the older gentleman who lives there. While he's there, he has a very dangerous accident, and this older gentleman who lives there that he was supposed to evict actually ends up taking care of him, which I have no idea. I've never heard of this book before, but I was just reading the synopsis. I clicked on it because of the cover, was reading the synopsis, and suddenly was like, that just sounds really interesting. It's a tiny, tiny little literary fiction book, and I do like picking those up every once in a while to kind of fit in with my fantasy reads. So I'm really looking forward to reading this, and I think it's going to be a really powerful book about how we view other people, which I'm always here for. So I have a very sad tale to tell you guys about my I'm trying to buy Persuasion by Jane Austen experience. So first I ordered Persuasion online off of Amazon because I liked the cover. Okay, it's a really pretty, simple cover. A lot of the covers for this book I'm not a big fan of, but I saw this one and I was like, that looks really simple and clean. I like it, let's go. I got it, and I was like, that's kind of a skinny book. I thought Persuasion was longer than that. Well, my friends, I open it, and I don't know if you can tell how tiny this writing is, but this text is ridiculous. I feel like trying to read the text in this book would either make me go blind or give me the worst headache on the face of the earth. This is the tiniest font ever. Who thought this was a good idea? I don't understand this at all. So I applied for a refund, and you know it's bad when they don't even want the product back, you guys. They were like, nah, keep it, it's fine. So I have this now, I guess. But so I went to Barnes & Noble because I thought, okay, I need to see this in person, I guess. I need to go find a copy of Persuasion that is actually readable. And my Barnes & Noble did not have a version of Persuasion. They only had like 2 of them. They had like 5 versions of every other Jane Austen book, but not Persuasion, just like 1 or 2, and they were hardcovers. I don't really like reading hardcovers, so I really wanted a good, solid, just plain and simple trade paperback that I can annotate, all of that. They didn't have one, so I'm going to have to go back and try to find it again at some point. But they did have this really pretty copy of Emma, which, as you can see, is appropriately sized and has text that is actually readable. And Emma is another one of the Jane Austen novels that I don't own and would like to read at some point. So I figured, well, it's really pretty, it's clean, it's simple, it's a floppy paperback. That sounds good. So Emma ended up coming home with me instead of Persuasion. So I didn't get the Jane Austen book that I was planning on getting, but I did get one at least. Now I want to show you a Kickstarter that I just received. And this was my good friend Andrew D. Meredith. He has a epic fantasy series called the Collian Saga, and he had recently done a Kickstarter for the hardcover editions of his books with a lot of really cool artwork and dust jackets and all of the things. He met a bunch of his stretch goals, which is super awesome. Congratulations to Andrew. I picked up The Fleeting Word, which is a novella, I think as a prequel to the Collian Saga that he had out that I didn't have yet, so I grabbed a copy of that along with the Kickstarter books. But look at these, you guys. Look how pretty these are. Look at that. They have the Collian Saga symbol on the back of all of the dust jackets. They are absolutely beautiful. So the first book is Deathless Beast, and I just want to show you guys the inside of the dust jackets. This was one of the stretch goals I was really excited about. First of all, let's just appreciate that beautiful naked hardcover. But on the inside of the dust jackets, is the collation map on all of them. How beautiful is this? And this is all hand-drawn by Andrew, which is super cool. So this is book 1, Deathless Beast, which I have read. And then book 2 is Bone Shroud. You guys, the naked hardcover colors of these books, and it's such a nice like matte feel to the book. It's so pretty. Look at this. Absolutely stunning. I've also read Bone Shroud, and now with the books that I haven't read in the series, we have Gloves of Eons, which might be my favorite color. This purple is absolutely ridiculous. It's so pretty in person. And I love that he added like a soft design behind the Collian Saga symbol on all of these. And then the final book that just came out is Dread Knight, and this is my favorite cover of all of them because I think it just turned out really, really cool. But again, that really stunning naked hardcover. And on the inside, there are these beautiful hand-drawn illustrations by Dewey Conway, who is another fantasy author and also incredibly talented artist. So I have all 4 of those finally, and along with my hardcover package, I got some extra goodies. So the first thing I got is this beautiful collation symbol pin that was one of the bonus goodies for the hardcover set. I don't know what I'm gonna do with the pin yet because I don't collect pins and I never have before, so I'm not really sure what to do with it, but it's beautiful. It's one of my favorite things that I've gotten as a goodie in a Kickstarter box. I also got a really fancy, really pretty foil bookmark, and I don't know where the other bookmarks were, but there were 4 bookmarks, one for each of the books with all of their designs, and the goodies just keep coming. Also, some stickers, character stickers, and my favorite part, you guys, look at these illustrations. These, again, are by Dewey Conway, and these are of characters in the Collian Saga, and there are 4 of them. One of these is in each of the books. Absolutely stunning art prints. I cannot get over these, you guys. They're so good. So that was my Kickstarter haul from the Collian Saga by Andrew Meredith. So that Kickstarter is officially done and fulfilled. And now I have to figure out where I'm going to put these books on my shelves because I have no room left. But that is all of the reading books that I got. But I also wanted to show you guys the bullet journals that I purchased for 2025 because, as I mentioned in my previous video about how I'm kind of changing my mindset going into 2025 with BookTube, I did mention bullet journaling because I have really enjoyed it and I want to get into it more coming up next year. So the first one that I bought is this really pretty Yop and Tom A5 bullet dot grid journal with it's like a charcoal gray color and has this really pretty gold hummingbird on the front. This is going to be more of a personal bullet journal that I'm going to be using kind of to do some family stuff, maybe some devotion stuff in here. I'm not sure yet. The reading journal that I bought, I knew I wanted a 8x8 larger square sized bullet journal for this year because I liked having a little bit more space for the spreads that I want to do. And so I bought a Archer and Olive 8x8 square dot grid journal. So I'm a nerd about packaging and this just made me so incredibly happy. It came in this stunning box and the journal itself is in the paper in the box. It's so well packaged. And this is the bullet journal that I chose. It has a beautiful raven sitting on a pile of books. It has a really cute bookmark on it. And the inside has this lovely foiled front board on the inside, which is really beautiful. I can't wait to start using this, you guys. I'm so excited. I'm so happy with the choice of this particular book. I think the 8x8 is going to be a really good expansion for me in terms of kind of what I'm envisioning for 2025. But I had to show you guys these because I am so excited to start showing you guys my bullet journaling process for next year. I think it's going to be a super fun addition to my channel content. and I hope you guys enjoy it as much as I do, because it's gonna be a great time. All right, guys, that is my book haul for the last like 2.5 months. I hope you enjoyed this. Please let me know down in the comments if there's anything fun and exciting that you've purchased recently or added to your collection. I'd love to hear about it. Go down in my description box below for all of the interesting links and things and whatever that you would want to check out. If you like the content, please give a like and subscribe to support the channel. I hope you are having a fantastic week. I hope you are reading 5-star reads, and I'll see you in the next video.